Hello everyone, today I will be redesigning Monoma's hero costume. Now, looking at it at first, I thought it was really plain. It didn't really have much to say when we're looking at a costume because the costume is mainly supposed to represent your hero when you look at them. When you look at Iron Man, it's clear to see what he represents, it's clear to see what Captain America represents, what Batman represents. And with Monoma, it's very plain, and you can't really get like a good look at what this is. It just looks kind of like a butler's tailcoat, if I'm being honest, and not like a hero costume. The things I didn't really like about it also was the two belts. Why are there two belts? The brown one and the white one do not go together at all. The brown one looks very misplaced. The white one goes more with the look because it matches the shoes, the white shirt underneath, the cuffs of his sleeves, and the white underneath his twin tails at the back of his coat. That matches. But the brown is nowhere to be seen on the rest of the outfit, so that immediately has to go. Now, I wanted to make the lapels more exaggerated because we're trying to make this more of a recognizable look and also just kind of more custom to Monoma. He's a character who's pretty like rough and sharp around the edges. He doesn't really mince his words and he likes making fun of people a lot. So I feel like some sharper edges to his costume would serve him greatly. So I put those at the lapels, and I also made the tails a little bit more swirled just to match the more circular look to the clocks. I extended the hip line of the pants up to his waist for a more silhouetted look. If he took off his coat, it would cinch in his waist a bit, and I just think that would look a bit better. Sorry to interrupt, but I have an Etsy store. If you'd like to support the channel, you can get yourself some jewelry there. Here's the new Halloween earrings that were just dropped. The store is called Sugarbread Studio, and it would be amazing if you could at least take a look. Now, with these shirt cuffs, I didn't remove them, I just shrunk them. The size that they are in the original design just looks pretty tacky to me. I'm sorry, like, I don't hate them. Okay, maybe I do hate them, but they just look very tacky at that size. So I just shrunk them. I do like the idea of the shirt cuffs being visible, though. It adds like a little bit of class there, but they were just way too big for the look. I kept the tie, and I also kept the folds on his shirt color because I felt that looks pretty cool. But I also added a vest. I'm of the belief Monoma would look better and also prefer a 3-piece suit set instead of a 2-piece set, because while the coat and the pants do add like a really nice touch, they make him look classy, the vest just elevates that look even further. Now the clocks. I kept the white belt largely the same, except I removed the clocks that were attached to the belt part itself and instead attached them with chains. It just looks better, in my opinion, because it adds like that whole pocket watch element to it that they didn't really have before. And looking at Monoma's design, it's very clear it's based off of that old style Victorian gentleman look, so replacing those watches with ones that looked more like the pocket watches of that time helps add to that element of class and sophistication that is clearly supposed to be what's going on with his current costume. I also added the extra clocks on his fingers, and I just felt like that looked a bit better than instead of having them as just rings with clocks attached, it was rings with a chain for the clock. Though with the shoes, I kept those the same because I do like them. With the hands, I decided that he should probably have some gloves on because it just also elevates the look again. It's very Victorian-esque, and again, it just makes me think like, oh, that's a very distinguished hero design. That we have all of these different elements together but uniquely mixed so that it's like, oh, that's definitely Monoma's hero costume. It's just, when I look at costumes, I look for things that are recognizable. And with Monoma's, if you slap it on another character, you cannot tell that's Monoma's. I also gave him some side pockets because you can never go wrong with a few pockets here and there. And I also added an extra chain on the sides of the lapels at the bottom. I just figured it would add like a little extra pizzazz, and it would also just help tie in the chain elements on the other parts of the costume into the tailcoat, because if I'm being honest, it is a little bit plain, so it just helps put everything in the costume alright into like a slightly neater package. And while it's not visible, his pocket square is still going to be there. I do like that element, so it is kept. His arm is just blocking it, but note, the pocket square stays. I will defend that pocket square till the day I die, because it is one of the very few things of this costume that is recognizable. One of the very few things. Anyway, I'm going to move on to my coloring choices right now, because even though we're still looking at the line art, the coloring is like coming like right now. So, for the color of his suit, I actually decided to lighten it a bit, just so you can see the details better, because while the black does look good, a lot of the details are and will be lost in that. So I made it more of like a lighter navy, just to add to that. And it also kind of reminds me of Sebastian's tailcoats in the earlier seasons of Black Butler, so that's probably a little bit of my bias seeping in right there. I do end up changing the gold color of all the gold pieces just a little bit, mainly because it's just a stylizing choice of mine. It's not really anything major, really just ignore it. It's just for me so I could put the highlight there, and it looks distinguishable enough in my eyes. Now with the tailcoat, I decided to remove the white and put blue there, just so we'd have a little bit more color going on there. And it's also the same color I used for the dots on the tie, so for me it just helps tie in that blue better. It's also the same blue I used on the vest, and I also put blue on the hand part, the bottom hand part of the glove. It kind of reminds me of Albedo's gloves from Genshin Impact, where the entire glove is black, but you have the red part where your palm would be, and the bottoms of your fingers. I don't know, I feel like it's a really cool detail. I just added that just for a little extra oomph in the design, just some more little bits in there to distinguish Monoma, just so his costume feels more uniquely his, instead of just a random Victorian coat that you stole and some dress pants and 2 random belts that were just sitting in your closet. Am I tearing into this design a little bit more than I have with the others? Yes. The other ones, when I have said that I didn't like them, it was either for the aesthetic purpose wasn't fully realized, or they just were not practical for their job, i.e. Momo, i.e. Bubble Girl. They're supposed to be fighting crime. What the hell is this? With Monoma, it's purely aesthetics, because his costume already is functional for his job, but it just is not recognizable at all. And with Heroes of My Hero Academia, they are basically walking brands. They have entire product lines for themselves, fan clubs, and even if he's in high school right now, it's something he is going to have to consider quite a lot when he's an older hero, even a pro hero. Even like sidekick heroes in My Hero have to consider shit like this. Because again, being a hero is something that is highly marketed in this world. So it has to be something that you really need to take into account down to the costume details, even just the small bits here and there, to make yourself stand out and make yourself recognizable so you can build that brand. And with Monoma's previous design, there really wasn't anything to work with there. So I feel like this redesign helps give a little bit more identity to his costume, something that's more uniquely his, and something that he can actually work with in the future if he decides to build more of a brand around his hero name. Here's an art piece that I made recently. It would really mean a lot if you went over to my Instagram to leave a like on it and just leave a comment. I work really hard on both my videos and my art, so it just really means a lot. And it also just helps me reach more people and get my art seen. So I would really appreciate if you did that.